Good afternoon and welcome to the Council on Undergraduate Research webinar, Achieving an Institution-Wide Culture and Practice in Undergraduate Research, Best Practices from AURA 2018 Awardees. We are very glad you could join us, including prospective applicants for the 2019 awards. I am Donna Shanley-Veek. I'm Assistant Dean for Undergraduate Research and Chemistry Faculty Member at Florida Atlantic University. I also serve as a Kerr Counselor to the Undergraduate Research Programs Division, and FAU was the 2017 AURA Award winner in the doctoral category in 2017. Next slide, please. During the course of the next hour, you will hear from faculty and administration leaders at two outstanding institutions. From Union College, Chad Ozell, who is the R. Gordon Gould Associate Professor of Physics and Director of Undergraduate Research at Union College. From University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee, Nigel Rothfeld, who's Associate Professor of History and Director of the Office of Undergraduate Research, as well as Kyla Esguerra, Deputy Director of their Office of Undergraduate Research. Both institutions are winners in last year's highly competitive campus-wide awards for undergraduate research accomplishments, otherwise known as AURA. They will be sharing their award-winning practices with you and answering questions that you may have. But first, of course, a few housekeeping comments. So before we start, please note that all telephone connections will be muted throughout the webinar. Please write your questions into the chat box in the GoToWebinar/meeting link on the right-hand side of your screen. And the webinar will be recorded and a copy of the presentation will be made available to the registrants. Finally, I'd also like to introduce everyone to Robin Howard, who is serving as the technical host for the webinar today, and she'll also be leading the question and answer session at the end of today's panel conversation. If you should have any questions for Robin, she can also be reached at robin@kerr.org. For those of you who are relatively new to Kerr and may not have memorized our mission statement, it is to support and promote high-quality undergraduate, student, faculty, collaborative research and scholarship. All of the best practices presented today stem from this mission, as elaborated in Kerr's publication, Characteristics of Excellence in Undergraduate Research. So Characteristic of Excellence, published in 2012, is a summary of best practices gleaned from Kerr's long history of professional development, institutes, and other programs involving over 600 educational institutions. It addresses 12 major areas, 64 characteristics, and 202 assessable outcomes. It can be used as a guide for institutions to evaluate, foster, and sustain excellence in undergraduate research. The campus-wide award for undergraduate research, established in 2015, was designed to publicly recognize institutions that have implemented many of the characteristics of excellence, devised innovative and exemplary programs, and have assessed the success of their efforts. Awardees have also demonstrated institutional depth and breadth of their undergraduate programs. AURA awards are given annually to institutions of all types and sizes. The applications process occurs in two stages. The first stage is the letter of intent, which is submitted to Kerr during the spring, summarizing the institution's commitment to undergraduate research and highlighting a specific high-quality exemplary program. LOIs typically describe the size and scope of the undergraduate program and its impact on the campus. The exemplary program details the execution of the program, its goals, and evidences of assessed impact on campus. LOIs are categorized into three Carnegie classification categories and institutions' size: bachelor's, master's, and doctoral. And a committee reviews and rates the proposals. A subset of institutions are asked to move to the full proposal stage during the late part of the spring semester. And this is the second part of the applications process, which is the full proposal. Full proposal applications include four things: The first is an application form signed by the Senior Academic Officer for undergraduate research campus-wide activities. The second is a description of the institution's undergraduate research efforts and assessments, specifically addressing 5 of the 12 characteristics of excellence listed in the career publication, with included evidences for achieving excellence in these areas. Data can be quantitative and/or qualitative. We also encourage comparison to national or other organizational norms. The third is an in-depth description of one exemplary program, including evidences that it has been effective. And the fourth are 10 pages of supplementary materials, which provide qualitative and quantitative data evaluating evidence in direct support of the application narrative. Supplementary information should provide supporting data which may not easily be presented in narrative and should provide evidences to claims of excellence or transformative change. Any data presented in the supplementary materials should also be contextualized and summarized in the application. Full proposals are also evaluated by a committee who now rank all applications within each of the 3 categories, and up to 3 awardees are selected based on applications which were submitted. Today's awardees are the 4th cohort of institutions so honored. Next slide, please. It's now my pleasure to turn the program over to our 2018 AURA awardees, Union College and the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee.
Okay, so hopefully everybody can hear me. My name is Chad Orzel. I'm a professor in the Department of Physics and Astronomy here at Union, and I'm also serving as the Director of Undergraduate Research. What I want to do today is give you a brief introduction to Union College, then to our undergraduate research programs, and then to our exemplary program, which is the Union College Scholars Program. In particular, I'm going to try and highlight the elements that we used in our proposal, which are the research infrastructure, external funding, summer research programs, dissemination, and recognition of research. So to start off, Union College is a small undergraduate liberal arts college. We're in Schenectady, New York. So we're pretty much the standard size for small liberal arts colleges, a little over 2,000 students, a little over 200 faculty. We're somewhat unique for our category in that we also have an engineering program that is a significant part of our academic offerings. We have a pretty wide range of academic majors and minors. And, you know, in keeping with being a small college, our class sizes tend to be small. Our introductory courses average about 20 students per class. Upper level courses are a bit smaller than that. This, of course, varies significantly from major to major, depending on how many students there are. On the next slide, we'll start to talk about some of our infrastructure and external grants. We have, in the last several years, been going through a great deal of construction. We're currently about a little over halfway through the process of building and renovating a new science center, which you can see on the right in this slide. In addition to that, we've had another science building completed relatively recently. We've comprehensively renovated the music area. The visual arts building has been renovated, and there is a recently constructed new dance pavilion. So across all of the various disciplines, we have excellent new infrastructure that's new or renovated and there for the support of student and faculty activities. We've also been very successful with external funding. In recent years, we've gotten quite a bit of money from the National Science Foundation's Major Research Instrumentation Program for instrumentation that's shared between large numbers of faculty and sort of interdisciplinary collaborations. We also have quite a few of our faculty have individual research grants from NSF or other agencies. Our current active grants total about $9 million, and that's fairly constant over the last several years. So we have that money available for purchasing equipment for particular faculty and supporting students to work with those faculty members. Moving on, our undergraduate research program has two main channels for supporting student research. We offer student research grants. These are smallish grants, about $500 per student per year, to support research projects that are associated with something that's getting academic credit. Largely because we have engineering, we also have a number of team proposals for sort of design competitions. In the lower right, you can see the Baja car that was built by a group of engineering students. And for those teams, we provide up to $1,500 per team per year to support the construction of their particular objects. In addition to the grants and direct support of the research, we also provide support for students disseminating these results through presenting at conferences and so on. We have student conference travel grants. These again are about $500 per student per year. In the lower left on the slide, you can see a group of students from my home department of physics and astronomy who recently presented at an American Physical Society conference at an IBM research lab in Yorktown. And three of those students actually won prizes for the posters they presented at the meeting, showing the quality of work that we do. You can see in the upper right some figures about these programs, showing that the number of these student research grants that we give out is fairly constant in the 120-ish kind of range. The number of conference presentations that we fund has been trending upward over the last few years. The very last data point in the orange there that seems to dip down is actually there are still several students who will be making applications and presentations in what remains of this year. So that point will move up a little bit. Moving on to the next slide, one of our major programs in undergraduate research here is the summer research program. We typically have more than 120 students every summer staying on campus to do research together with faculty. We offer fellowships for these students in 4, 6, or 8-week durations. These are funded by both a direct budget line for undergraduate research, and also we have a number of accounts that have generously been endowed by alumni over the years. The students who stay on campus, you can see a photo of a group from a couple of years ago down there. They're required to take part in a summer seminar series featuring talks by students and a poster session at the end of the summer. We generally coordinate that with admissions so as to show off our research activities to prospective students who are visiting the college in the summer. Again, in the upper right, you can see some data about the number of these. We have both, the blue points are the total number of students on campus. The orange are students who are funded directly by the undergraduate research program. We have additionally students who are funded by individual faculty grants or departments. And we can see that the number of students that we have involved in summer research is trending upward over time. The next thing I want to highlight is our annual Steinmetz Symposium. This is every May. We cancel classes one day and recognize the efforts of our students who have been doing research during the academic year. This happened just a couple of weeks ago here for the 2019 and involved nearly 500 students, so almost a quarter of our student body. You can see some stats about the range of things that go on. Around 225 students gave oral presentations. In addition to that, we had 2 poster sessions featuring 95 posters. There is a very popular dance performance that takes place every year, including both students who are doing research in dance and student clubs and organizations. There were a total of over 90 students involved in that. There's an art show with something like 77 different artists exhibiting works, and a couple of musical performances over the course of the weekend that ran to another 73 students. In the lower right, you can see some statistics about Steinmetz presentations over time. We've, been in between 200 and 300 oral presentations for the last 10 years. And you can see the number of poster presentations has been trending upward. Initially, that was primarily science and engineering students. In the last several years, the humanities faculty have really started to embrace the idea of poster sessions, so the number of posters that we're seeing has gone up. Moving on to talk specifically about our exemplary program. This is the Union College Scholars Program. The top 10% of students admitted to the college, as identified by our admissions criteria, are invited to apply to the Scholars Program. That nets us about 50 to 60 students per year in the program. We do some cohort building with these students. They have special sections of our first year preceptorial class and our sophomore seminar class. They can also take an optional senior colloquium as a group. These students, the primary benefit they get is they can take, subject to a GPA requirement, they can take a 4th course per term for free without the fee that would normally be charged. And they can use those courses to graduate early, which is not an option that's available to students who are not in the Scholars Program. We see with this program, the graduation rate for our scholars is significantly higher than for students in the rest of the population. So this is a very talented and engaged group of students. The connection to undergraduate research is seen in the next slide, where all of our Scholars Program students are required to complete a sophomore project, though sometimes it slips into the junior year. This is a 1 or 2 term independent project conducted together with a faculty mentor. The idea here is to get students involved in doing research at an early stage in their careers, give them a bit of a head start. Many of them will go on and do additional research projects in the summer and for senior thesis after this. And this helps them develop a relationship with a faculty member early on that stands them in good stead as they go on to do additional research and apply to graduate programs and so on. This program is very effective at getting these students brought into research activities. The programs I mentioned earlier, the student research grants and the student conference travel grants, our scholars are somewhat overrepresented in those. The Scholars Program accounts for a bit more than 10% of the student population. Those students get student research grants and student conference travel grants at the 20 to 30% sort of level. The summer research fellowships, again, we have a large number of scholars in those programs, sort of above their weight, as it were. Again, they're about 10% of the general population. Close to 30% of the summer research fellowships are awarded to Union College scholars. So it's a very effective program at bringing students into our research activities. And finally, just to give you a sense of the range of things that we support, these are some example projects. These are titles taken from presentations at the Steinmetz Symposium just a couple of weeks ago by sophomore scholars. So in the upper left, we see a photo of a student who's doing a reading of poetry that she wrote as part of her sophomore project. We have a number of social science projects studying legal issues and the economics of green technology. In the lower right, you see that student is demonstrating the 3D printed models he made of hydropower mills that are described in Roman texts. So a really nice blending together of an engineering kind of project and classics. And we also have research presentations in psychology and physics down at the very bottom of the slide here. So hopefully that gives you some sense of the character and scope of the projects that we have going on to support student research and give them opportunities for disseminating their results and some recognition for their activities. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I'll be happy to answer questions at the end of the webinar.
Hello, everybody. My name is Nigel Rothfels. I'm the director of the Office of Undergraduate Research at the University of Wisconsin. I'll be speaking today with my colleague Kyla Esguerra, who's the deputy director of the office. We'll go to the first slide. I put up an image of our campus and the city to give you a little bit of an idea of how we sit in our community and on the lake. Down in the bottom left corner, you can see some of the older buildings of our campus that go back to the 19th century. That was a small women's college. Then in the 1950s, the campus took over that property and some additional properties to become the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. 1971 was included as part of the UW system of 13 universities with the flagship in Madison. In addition to the old buildings on the bottom left, I want to point to the sort of well, certainly the city in the background and the lake. Those are two focuses of our campus and the research that happens on our campus. And then one small building right in the middle of the campus that's at sort of a strange little angle, just to the right of center and just below center. That is a Milwaukee Public Elementary School. And that's another emphasis of our campus in education. The campus in 1996 became what we now call an R2 university, and in 2015 became an R1 university. It is one of two R1 universities in the state, has about 20,000 undergraduates, about 700 faculty, divided over 14 schools and colleges. Those include professional schools and colleges. It is an access university for the UW system and with an urban focus. As you can see, we have a very high percentage, well, 40% of our students are first generation and a similar eligibility on Pell grants. A high military population is actually interesting. We have the highest population of military vets on our campus in a 6-state region. The undergraduate research program, we can go to the next slide, started in 2000 with a small college, a small program in the College of Letters and Science. It was a 4-credit undergraduate research opportunity that was based on the sort of model of retention and recruitment. And it was very successful. It seemed to be a really strong fit for a campus that focused on both access and research. And within about 8 years, we started having conversations about how it would become a campus-wide operation. With some additional finances that came through the state legislature, the Office of Undergraduate Research was opened with about $1 million a year budget. We report to the Vice Provost for Research, and we provide opportunities throughout the campus. The office itself is on the sort of main backbone of the campus where most students walk, and campus tours also come by. It has substantial full-time staff, and we've developed some things that are important for our campus. I'm not saying that would be for everybody, but we have the regular Start Here program, which helps students begin thinking about how they might become involved in our campus research. We also maintain a campus database of projects with about 200 to 300, well, probably now over 300 projects that students can browse through and begin to sort of imagine how they might fit. They can apply to program or to research projects through our office, and then we help to link them with faculty. Almost our entire budget goes into student salary. The way we do this is it's a year-round program. We provide about 300 to 400 awards annually, $1,500 for a semester, $3,000 in the summer. And we work with about, altogether, probably between 500 and 600 students a year. And of course, there are other students on campus who we know about, but who don't necessarily work directly with us. And they will be on campus, on faculty grants, but also just finding their own way through the system. So we usually reckon there's around 1,000 students who are engaged in undergraduate research on our rather large campus. Next slide. We've developed a rather large suite of programs. Some of them will seem similar to what other people have done at other universities. Some we think are quite unique to us. Our support for undergraduate research fellows program, our SURF program, is the large program that we run to provide salary for students. That's 3 times a year, students and faculty, individual students and individual faculty apply with a project that they want to work on. We tend to give a preference to pairs that have already been working together in either a credit-based or voluntary system. We also provide travel support. We send a fairly large delegation every year to NCUR, somewhere between 30 and 50 students. We also have a UW System symposium that happens every year, and we send a delegation to that. And then we provide support for students who wish to attend disciplinary conferences if they are presenting. That's about $500 a student per year for those kinds of activities. We also have an international research program. If faculty members have research overseas, we'll provide resources for them to take students with them. And we run that now for many years, and have been sending students all over the world. We still maintain our undergraduate research opportunity, and I'm going to return to the UWM program in a moment. But the undergraduate research opportunity is a 4-credit system that we run. We also have course-based research projects that we've been developing, especially for lower division courses. And we have an undergraduate research symposium every year, about 300 students presenting. A unique feature of the symposium is that we ask faculty and grad students to serve as judges, and typically we'll have 100 to 120 faculty and grad students showing up to engage with the students on their projects, and we have very low stakes awards that happen at the end of the event that everyone looks forward to. We have a Senior Excellence in Research program where we try to identify a small cohort of students every year who have been really engaged in undergraduate research since they were freshmen. Those students we provide some extra support to, some extra money to, and also give them some guidance around graduate school admissions and the like. We also have little programs that we do to acknowledge the faculty and have a fairly consistent professional development program with poster development workshops as well as social events. Next slide. We do a great deal of assessment in our office. We use both internal tools that we've developed, qualitative and quantitative analyses. We also use campus data wherever we can. The campus has a fairly strong data warehouse that we have access to, and we use that to do some comparison with other kinds of interventions that are happening on campus. And we also consult the NSE data, the National Survey on Student Engagement, and we shared a lot of data with our UW System colleagues. The UW System has a strong group of undergraduate research programs. We call ourselves Whisker, which stands for the Wisconsin System Council on Undergraduate Research. We've been meeting annually now for about 20 years. And I can say that an ORA recipient, a previous ORA recipient 2 years ago was UW-Eau Claire. So we are following in their footsteps. In this particular slide, this is data that we presented in our award, our ORA application, our ORA portfolio. I just threw up some information around second-year retention and sixth-year graduation, comparing our program against other access to success interventions on our campus. Basically, the campus uses an annual process to assess different kinds of interventions that we hope improve, well, actually they almost all improve retention success on our campus. Retention has been a very important issue on our campus for budgetary reasons, but also just ethically, that we want to raise our retention levels. What you'll see in this particular graphic is some of the success that we've been able to show to the campus. Next slide.
Hi, everyone. I will be talking about our exemplary program, the You Are at UWM Summer Research Program. And this is a summer bridge program for high-achieving incoming students. We had some deliberation about which of our suite of programs to feature as the exemplary one. And some of the things that we considered were which of our programs were more innovative. This one, we hadn't seen a similar program where students could begin quite this early. So the students are coming to campus for 4 weeks during that summer prior to their first year on campus. We also thought about which of the programs might best talk about a number of core characteristics. And this particular program, although not our largest program, combines quite a few of the characteristics of excellence, such as providing student housing, opportunities for early and sustained involvement, use of peer mentors, etc. So a few notes as you're perhaps thinking about which of your programs you might feature. The Summer Bridge program, the You Are at UWM program, accepts about 25 students each year, and it becomes a residential community of scholars. So those students are living together in our Sandberg Residence Hall, which is right on campus. They each spend about 25 or 30 hours a week on a research project paired with a faculty research mentor. Our office does serve campus-wide, so there are 14 different schools and colleges that we serve and that we work with, and those projects can be in any of those schools or colleges. So we've had students work on projects in our College of Nursing, in our Peck School of the Arts, in our College of Letters and Science, in our College of Engineering, School of Education, etc. The program also includes twice weekly seminars, so the students have an opportunity to come together as a cohort, learn about each other's projects, talk a little bit more about what it means to be involved in university research. Some of the topics that we cover are responsible conduct of research. We work with the students on learning how to read research articles, strategies on doing that, finding them, and reading them, retaining some information from them. We work with the students on writing a research abstract, and then the students will also present a poster at the end of the 4 weeks, so they have a chance to synthesize some of what they've learned. The program also makes use of student mentors. So in addition to living in the residence hall and spending time in a lab, they are also working with peers and having an opportunity to do some social activities outside of campus or outside of their research responsibilities. The RA staff also plan social activities, so we certainly consider it an immersive campus experience. We also work with this group at least once to do a service activity. So they're going out and getting to know a nonprofit in the Milwaukee area. We have gone to our Hunger Task Force. We've gone to our Urban Ecology Center. So the students are getting a sense of some of what they might want to continue doing when they're students here in the fall, and also just to get to know the surrounding city. The cost of the program is just a little bit over $2,000 per student. We do cover that cost for the student. They each receive a $500 stipend, and the faculty receives $500 in supply funds. The room and board cost is about $1,000 for the student for the 4 weeks, so that would include a meal plan. For the concluding poster session, we certainly invite members of our campus community so they have a chance to begin networking with their deans and associate deans, the Honors College, etc. And the hope is that the students would continue their work in fall. So we talk about segueing into either our Undergraduate Research Opportunity program where they could continue for credit, or the SURF program where they could apply for funding where they would be paid through our student employment system as a research assistant. The next couple of slides, Nigel will take a look at the retention and graduation rates from this program specifically.
Yeah, I think this has been one of the wonderful accomplishments of this program. As I say, our campus tends to struggle with retention and graduation, and it's something that we focus a lot on. This is a program, though, that has well north of 90% second-year retention and just around 90% sixth-year graduation. This is partly, undoubtedly, the result of the strength of the applicants coming in, but it's also important for us because these are students who really could have gotten into a great many schools and find out that they really love UWM and that they can succeed and prosper there. And so the retention rate of this particular cohort is also very important to us. They serve as ambassadors in all kinds of events that we run, and it's not untypical, really, that by the time they're seniors, they will also be recipients of our Senior Excellence in Research Awards. This particular slide just shows the second-year retention measured against the campus at large and the Honors College. I threw the Honors College in simply because these students would also be typically eligible for the Honors College, and I wanted to highlight that. And then the next slide shows the six-year graduation rates. Again, these are slides that we presented as part of our ORA application. I wanted to say something quickly about the ORA application. We applied 3 times. We were finalists 2 years and then won in our 3rd effort. I have to say that every year we found the experience very important for us as an office to think about how we were presenting ourselves to other institutions and how we were presenting ourselves to the campus. The data exercise was also extremely helpful for us because we got into a strong practice, not simply of collecting data, but actually really working with it much more carefully and iteratively. For our ORA application, we focused on 5 of the 12, which is the requirement. We focused on campus mission and culture, the administrative support, student-centered issues, curriculum, and our assessment activities. I think I have to say that when I look back at our early applications and compare them to our winning application, one of the things that really stands out is the clarity of our presentation in the last version and our clear focus on those 5 elements. Honestly, when we first did our first application, I thought doing more than 5 would be better, and so we pointed to all kinds of things that we were doing well, and I think over time, especially talking to other people and listening to these Aura presentations in the past, I realized that if we made our presentation more clear for the committee so that they could make sure that they understood where our innovations lay, and if we could present the actually compelling data, that would make a really big difference for application. I don't know, I wasn't privy to the conversation when we won, but I suspect it really was number one, the innovative program, the UWM program, number two, the breadth of the data, and number three, the sort of clarity of our presentation. So I would encourage that as somebody who struggled in this format of application. I think that concludes our presentation, so I'll turn it back to Donna and Robin.
Okay, wonderful. So this ends sort of the formal presentation session of the Aura, and I wanted to take a moment to thank our panelists for sharing their expertise and experiences with the Aura Award in particular, sort of the tips and strategies that they shared throughout the presentation to help those of you that are interested in applying to Aura in the future, or those of you that are current finalists that are putting your packages together. And again, of course, congratulate them on their wonderful applications and the time that they took to share those best practices with you. I think you can see why Kurt chose to recognize these two outstanding institutions for their undergraduate research programs. So for the next, I guess, 15 to 20 minutes, we are going to take some questions that you proposed within the presentation. And what I'd like to do is transition back to Robin, who will direct the questions in the answer session. Okay, it looks like the audio from the Kerr central office is having difficulties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to handle the questions, and then I will read the question and see if I can transition it over to one of the two different institutions to speak to from their perspectives. So the question is, well, our first question is, did you write your application in a more narrative form or as a series of bullet points? I was thinking of just going through the characteristics and addressing them in a very orderly fashion, but I'm wondering if that's just a recipe for boredom. Do you think, Union, you could take this one on and then we can get follow-up feedback from Wisconsin, Milwaukee?
Sure. Ours is pretty much, we systematically worked through the particular standards that we were going to highlight, and it's more than bullet points, but it's sort of a systematic just step through those things. The exemplary program part has a little bit more narrative, but it also has a little bit more room. So, but I would say kind of a mix of the two. But I think it's probably a good idea to be as systematic about it as possible and make sure that you're clearly addressing the various elements that are required.
Yes, this is Nigel from UWM. Maybe my comments pointed in this direction a little as well. I'm from the humanities. I tend to write in narrative form and not in bullets, and this was a bit of this kind of writing was different for me. I have to say that I feel that, strongly that one needs to make a brief but rhetorically strong statements about what the campus culture is and what the mission of the campus is and how undergraduate research fits within that. But I think it's also critical that the application be organized in such a way that the reviewers can find the information they need as quickly as possible. And I think that we did not use bullets, but we made certain that the various sections were clearly marked so that people could get to them efficiently.
And this is Kyla from Milwaukee. I would just add, and agree that the exemplary program portion does allow for a little bit more narrative with the larger word limit. So you do have some space to write about kind of the history and focus of a particular program.
Okay, it looks like we got Robin back online. So Robin, I'll have you take over the additional questions from there. We were able to handle the question about the bullet points.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks to everyone for sticking on the line during that technical difficulty that we're having. So I have another question that I'll throw over to Nigel first. You talked a little bit about this, but hoping that you can expound a bit more. What strategies did you use to select the characters of excellence in which you chose to be evaluated?
Well, it's quite a long list when you start actually doing it. So it may sound a bit flip, but we picked the ones what we thought we could do the best with. At some level, they were ones that we felt we had strengths in. The assessment piece is obviously very important to us. And the administrative support and campus mission were very, very important to us. We did have discussions about the other one. This is a collaboration between Kyla and me in the writing, but it was simply a matter. It was simply a matter of identifying what we could do best.
Great, thank you, Chad.
I would say our approach was pretty similar. We picked things that map very easily onto the programs that we have. So, summer research is an enormous part of our operation. We have the Steinmetz Symposium, which is sort of a combination of dissemination and recognition. We're all going through the various pains of all the construction that's been going on, building up infrastructure and so on. So it was a very natural fit with those criteria and what's going on our campus all the time.
Thank you so much. Donna, this question is a little bit about the actual submission process. Who are the judges of the Aura Awards?
Sure, I'm happy to answer that question. So the judges of the Aura Award are sort of a combination of past awardees and sometimes past leaders of CUR, but people that have had extensive experience with the Aura Award process for sure as participants in the past, and in most cases, people that have actually won the award. And so each year they select groups of faculty and administrators from the institutions that have been winners, and they ask them to serve on the pre and full review process. And the evaluators that evaluate the pre-proposals or the LOIs are the same evaluators that will be evaluating the full proposals. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks. There's another kind of technical question. Are tables and figures permitted in the narrative portions, or should those only be included in the supplemental portion?
Do you want me to respond to that one?
Yeah, Donna, I think that would be great. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if I can pull up my Aura Award for when we won it. I believe in what we did was that all of the tables and the figures were moved into the appendices section, and that the narrative was left in the main body of the application, but that we never included data in the appendices that wasn't discussed in the narrative and referred to in the narrative. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that any data and figures that you include in the appendices, it can't just be sort of a drag and drop approach. It has to speak to what's been present in the narrative of the main body of the document. Does that help?
This is Nigel. I will just chime in one little thing. We did put a couple of our tables and figures in the actual narrative, but yeah, I agreed with Donna that every one of our data presentations was discussed specifically in the text.
And I'll chime in to say more of the same. All of the tables that are in our application are in the appendices, but everything's referenced in the text.
Thanks. We have a couple questions about the specific programs that you have described. This first one is for Chad. For your 4-, 6-, and 8-week summer research opportunities, how much are the stipends that you give to those students?
That's a good question. The stipends that we give are $475 a week, and students who stay in campus housing are charged $75 a week by Residence Life for room in the dorms. So that's the basis for all three of those periods. So it's the same weekly rate all the time. We have the different options because we're on trimesters, so we run kind of late, and our summer is somewhat shorter than other places, which is why the 8-week is the longest. And we started offering the shorter programs because we found that many times faculty are traveling at some point in the summer and couldn't really be present for a full 8 weeks, but we're more comfortable taking students, particularly younger students, for sort of shorter duration projects that could be fit in around faculty obligations.
Thank you. This question is for Kyla. Is the UR at UWM program totally distinct from your Honors College program? And then in the figures that you showed, were the Honors College students who did research not included in those figures that you showed?
That's a great question. The programs are distinct, but there's considerable overlap of students in the UR at UWM program and our Honors College. So they're often offered admission to honors and take advantage of the UR at UWM program. And we've found that that's a really nice combination of offerings for our high achievers to be able to say, not only can you come to campus to do the 4-week program, but you can also take advantage of the Honors College during the year and have the small courses, etc. I'll let Nigel field the question about the data.
Right, there is a little bit of a confounding there. The thing to bear in mind is that the UR at UWM program is for 25 students. It's a very small program. The Honors College altogether, thinking off the top of my head, it has probably something like 600 students in it. So this is a smaller group of students. They're not all in the Honors College, but they would all sort of typically be eligible for the Honors College. They may not choose to be in it for one reason or another, usually because of their majors. So yes, at some level, we're talking about the same group of students. We do some on the recruitment side for UR at UWM. We do some efforts to make sure that we're reaching a potentially larger group of applicants than would typically be entering into the Honors College.
Great, thank you. Another question for Chad about your exemplary program. Is your sophomore project a core requirement, or perhaps it's connected to a class?
The sophomore scholars projects are a core requirement of the program. That's one of the central elements of that. The students, it's handled as a class, so students who are doing their sophomore project for those terms will be registered for an honors independent study course in the relevant department. And they're supervised by a faculty member within, whatever department they're housed in. So, but it's absolutely required of all of the students in the Scholars Program.
Great, thank you. And we have just one more question. This one is for UWM. It's a question that you might have to defer to someone else, and we might have to have you answer offline. But with your $500 stipend that you offer to the mentors as for supply funds, is that something that you're paying in as supplemental salary, and then therefore it's taxable to those individuals, or have you found some way to offer that additional stipend and funnel it directly to supply funds?
Yes, this is Nigel. It is not done as salary to the faculty. It's in our system, we can provide budget, essentially a code that they can use to buy supplies. They have to stay within university and state regulations for allowable purchases. But essentially anything, if you need rats for your experiment, this is the right kind of money to use.
Great. And we'll just stay on the line. We've got another 2 minutes left just in case there's any final questions, but did want to, again, thank everyone for staying on the line during the technical difficulty, and also thank you to Chad and Nigel and Kyla, and also to Donna as well for putting together this great webinar to highlight the programs for the Aura, as well as to talk a little bit about the application process and how you approached that opportunity. So thank you very much. It looks like we don't have any final questions, so just thank you and sign off.
Thank you. Feel free to reach out.
Thank you. Good luck to everyone who's applying.
Thank you very much.
Take care.